right, so we usually talk about a beef, and the beef we've been talking about because it's still bugging us is the reef-to-reef discrimination. I get so torn on this because it feels like we're harping on it, but if no one talks about it, it just goes away, and discrimination just going away always feels weird to me. We've also hit the point in the forums where allies of LGBTQ people are starting to eat each other a little bit. So that's a little bit sad because this is going to be super slow process, right? There's not, nothing's going to change overnight. Reef to reef probably is never going to change. The only thing that I think I can see that's good is going to come out of it is continued discussion and awareness. We've said from the beginning, Reef to Reef can do whatever the hell they want, and that's fine. But so can everybody else in talking about it. And I know that you were very unhappy with it. What's going on from your perspective?
Yeah, this thing really does have legs, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's interesting to me. My feeling on it is pretty simple. I feel like if it was the 1960s right now and the civil rights era was happening around us, what would you do? And that's what you're doing right now, and it's funny because I've spoken to a few people about this, and opinions range all over the place, of course. That's the beauty of our country, right? We can all have different opinions. But one of the ones that I think is interesting is the desire to stay neutral. And to me, in a way, it's like you can't, in a way, especially I guess if you're just some schmo on the street knows nothing about Reef to Reef, of course you can. You don't give a shit. But if you sponsor the website or you get paid by the website, you can't really stay neutral, can you? I mean, if the website decided that it was going to discriminate against Black people, you probably would decide to no longer associate yourself with that website, I would hope. Yeah. And so by choosing differently when it's LGBTQ people, it's almost like you're saying it's okay. So that's the weird part about it to me. And I don't know. To me, it feels like, like you said, more awareness, more discussion, just making people kind of understand what it's like to be not ourselves,
Yeah.
Is the key. But anyway, to your question, my feeling, and I reached out to the place I work and asked for sort of permission to request this and talk to people who are companies who are sponsors at Reef to Reef and that we buy from. I feel like we're indirectly supporting Reef to Reef because we buy from Company X. Company X advertises on Reef to Reef. That money's going to them. And I said, hey, I'd like to go and tell these companies that we don't really approve of what's going on there, mm-hmm. and that we would like to, have a conversation with them and see what their feelings are and talk to them about it. And at the end of the day, if necessary, we can choose where to spend our money, and we don't need to spend it with people that don't align with our values. It's really important to me and to the organization I work for that people do have good social ethics, So anyway, that's happened. We've been chatting with people, and responses have been good and bad and everywhere in between.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like me, I have a gay uncle that I love. I have lots of gay friends, and it just feels too weird to sit on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it feels weird to me too that, it's such a strange thing because I don't, while I'm desperate to know who you've talked to and what they've said, it's also kind of none of my business. And all I really care about is that people are talking about it. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be great if there was a company that was super public and was like, yeah, no, this is bullshit. We're out. When they change, we're back in. That would make an awesome statement. But at the same time, I totally understand the idea of, Reef to Reef is big and there's a lot of customers there. And I can understand not wanting to get this on you, which is a weird thing because whenever I say that out loud, then I think about the LGBTQ people who can never get it off of them and live in it,
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think I wouldn't mention any of the companies that I've talked to or what their responses would be because I think, you know, actually, I'll say that the gist of the conversation I had with one of them, who will go unnamed, of course, was that, you know, they're not going to make a public statement about it. They'll let people figure it out on their own, which I think is kind of a classy move in this case. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we don't need to make a big deal out of it. We don't need to even give it air, in a sense. Just bye. You know,
Right.
like, kind of like, okay, you're right, bye.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
and
not
companies
give them
don't,
money anymore.
and I don't know, it's tricky because, you know, a company is there to make money. A company is there to do other things besides make money, but it's not like, you know, us as people can take moral stands, but when you're a business, you're like, man, you know, I want to make this moral stand, but, you know, we're supposed to make money and not run out of business, especially in times like COVID, where it's already kind of rough and lean. But,
Yeah.
you know, hey, you know, more power to the companies that do decide to take a moral stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, I even think I feel okay with companies who go, yeah, no, we're going to keep doing this, but they talk to Dave and Reef2Reef and go, hey, what you're doing is fucking bullshit and you should stop. You know, but we still get a lot of money from the people who visit your site. So we're going to keep on going, but we're not, you know, we're going to bring this up from time to time because it's fucking stupid. I think I'm okay with that. I mean, I think I'm really okay with anybody doing anything they can. I just want it to not, you know, disappear, because it's so dumb.
Yeah.
But here's another weird thing is, I don't know if this is true, but, you know, you get the vibe that maybe some people in the administration of Reef2Reef, you know, see it as like people attacking them, but it's not so much as us attacking them. It's just us sticking up for our friends. Like, I don't, you know, attacking them. It's just like, come on, man, be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care what they do.
That one's a completely bonkers one to me. I've never been on Reef2Reef. I've never posted there. To my knowledge, I've never met any of the owners or administrators. I'm aware now of who the owner of the website is. You know, nothing against them. I'm sure it's a great reef site. Obviously, a bunch of people go there. That's awesome. I love that people talk about reef tanks and corals and all that good stuff. But on this point, you know, it's a hobby I love, but on this point, you know, this is more important. It's about people's lives. One thing that I have noticed too is, like, I just realized this very recently. Like, I'm not an activist. I decided I was going to do this thing with work and contact sponsors, and this letter that I wrote to people. It's a simple thing. It's a page. It took, you know, a couple days of writing it, consulting with some of our marketing people. Even though it's not going public, we know that, you know, it has to be a message that we support. It had to go to our executive committee and get approval. It was work, right? It was work. I probably put a dozen hours into it or so. And to me, the thing that struck me is, I've only been doing this for a couple weeks, a couple months maybe. What if you're doing this your entire life, trying to convince people just to treat you the same as everyone else, not even asking for special treatment, just acknowledge me as an equal person.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine that. And so I feel like, you know, torches and pitchforks don't work. It's got to be, people have got to just sympathize and empathize with each other and put yourself in somebody else's shoes and understand what it's like to live somebody else's life for a little while. And
I think that's a really great point. We're trying to get people to have empathy for
Right.
these people who are being discriminated against is all we can really ask for. I mean, go ahead.
Some people are going to dig their heels in when you can't force people to be empathetic. But my hope would be just, you know, the people on the sidelines watching here or there, like, rile them up to, like, not just sit on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Right.
Just write some letters at the change.org petition. There's and on some of the threads talking about it on reefs.com and on humblefish.com, there are there's form letters. People have put together letters already. So if you're watching or listening and you're interested, you know, the amount of work Matt did was a lot because he had to go through some hoops, which is totally fair. You can almost literally cut and paste something somebody else wrote, put your name on it, and send it to the sponsors. And it feels like nothing, but it's definitely something. And the more they hear from you, the better it is. Of course, something you write in your own words is great too. And we don't want Reef to Reef to close. We don't want it. We just want the self-proclaimed biggest, most welcoming, most awesomest reef site in the world to actually be that. And it can't be that while it's discriminating against people. I think
this shouldn't be looked at as vindictive. It's just, I mean, none of the three of us are gay. We all have gay friends. It's just us sticking up for our friends.
Injustice. Yeah. All right, let's move on from that.